why.
Egypt, the richest source of archaeological treasures.
As all of his 5,000 treasures are being brought together at the new Grand Egyptian Museum.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another exciting tour around the world.
Archaeologists have discovered the remains of an ancient Egyptian woman who was buried with about 70 hair extensions attached to her head.
Today, we are taking you to some of the most bizarre discoveries and mysterious finds that will leave you baffled, just like it shocked the scientists. So, grab your gear and let's dig in. Number 1. Shocking throne ivory. The city of David is already a pretty popular city. Everyone knew it had a flourishing trade too. But recently, the archaeologists discovered something that even they didn't expect to find here. A remarkable collection of thousands of tiny pieces of ivory plates were unearthed by the researchers. They were already pretty surprised by this discovery, but they needed more answers.
This structure was probably belonged to one of the elite people of Jerusalem, maybe one of the priests or minister, or maybe even a member of the royal family.
What's fascinating is the detail in these pieces. They are decorated with a rosette pattern, a symbol of royalty found in Assyrian kings' clothing and architecture. On top of that, an oval stamped jar handle was also found that probably came all the way from Africa. At that time, ivory was as precious as gold and was used extensively to flex the royal status. Number 2. Alexander the Great, finally found. The location of Alexander's tomb has been a mystery for decades, but a Greek archaeologist is claiming that she might have cracked the code. The remains of the king were moved to Alexandria in 280 BC. But nearly a century later, the city was hit by disaster. People fled from the city, leaving the king's remains somewhere buried under the rubble. But this Greek archaeologist and her team are determined to find it. They have been on this mission for the past 21 years, and they think that they have finally found his tomb. Here is why. Her team unearthed a strange statue and an ancient Roman road in the first few excavations. The statue resembled the great king, and it fueled her team to keep digging. Then came the jackpot. A large building that looks a lot like the royal quarters and a carved tunnel about 30 feet in depth were found.
The tomb is decorated with various symbols and motifs associated with Alexander and his dynasty, including rosettes, suns, stars, shields, and Macedonian crests.
This is where the team expects that the tomb of the famous ruler is hidden. Imagine if they really do find the famous emperor buried in there. Number 3. The secret door in a temple. Padmanabha Swami Temple in India is the richest and the most mysterious temple in the country. There are many big shot reasons for its popularity, but there is one so strange that has kept the world baffled for centuries. The temple has 6 secret vaults built underground. The temple was always under observation by hundreds of guards, CCTV cameras, and metal detectors. Finally, a Supreme Court order allowed the curious lot to head into the vaults. Inside, there were tons of gold, shiny diamonds, and other precious gems and stones that could make anyone greedy. There were also statues and thrones that is easily billions of dollars worth of money. But this secret treasure is not the only fascinating part of the temple. There is one vault that remains locked. Nobody wants to open it either, because the locals think anybody who would open it would invite a curse into their lives. The people who tried to open it heard the sound of waves coming from the inside. They decided to ditch their plan and keep the vault locked. Number 4. The Man of Jade. The Mayan Empire was quite massive, stretching far and wide. The archaeologists have stumbled upon quite a few interesting things on this site, but nothing is as strange as this discovery. Within a temple, they found some holes in a slab, and when they lifted the slab, a staircase was discovered. The archaeologists dug away at it for 2 years before they could reach the mystery hidden inside. It was a stone sarcophagus so big that it left the archaeologists stunned, and this sarcophagus was not empty either. It housed the body of one of the most important kings in Mayan history, Pakal the Great.
Pakal the Great was the most important king in Palenque's history.
The body was covered head to toe in priceless jade jewelry. They even found a mask made of jade. It is impossible to even speculate the value of these intricate finds. Number 5. Qin Shi Huang's tomb. The massive fleet of the Terracotta Army was just one portion of the mega tomb. There was something far more strange that the archaeologists found here. The burial complex is actually spread out over a 2.43 square miles space. It is believed to have been built by over 700,000 men, and it took them 38 years to put that subterranean city on the map. The problem is that it hasn't been completely explored yet, and it probably cannot. Here is where it gets creepy. The tomb of the emperor is guarded by automatic crossbows. That's not all. There is also a replica of the entire network of China's river system that is filled with mercury. That's what's keeping the archaeologists far away from the tomb. Even if those alleged crossbows failed thousands of years later, there are still fears of liquid mercury seeping through the cracks.
And the mercury within is poisonous. It would also cost tens of millions of dollars, if not more, to excavate.
As you can guess, scientists don't want to risk it. Not to mention that the Terracotta Army statues rapidly degrade as soon as they are exposed to fresh air. Plus, there are these strange reports that the creators of the tomb were locked inside. So for now, this ancient marvelous tomb is best left untouched. Number 6. The mysterious Chinese civilization. This discovery wasn't made by an archaeologist, but it has definitely puzzled the scientists. A worker repairing a sewage ditch uncovered a boatload of treasures from underneath the ground. From jade to stone artifacts, there was a whole pit that was sold to private collectors. The archaeologists were curious, so they started excavations on the site. The teams found 2 more pits of bronze treasures, ivory tusks, and jade. What's troubling is that the researchers have no clue who left them behind or who built them. They suspect that the Sanxingdui civilization made these artifacts.
For the Sanxingdui discovery, Chinese civilization was understood to have arisen from the Yellow River Basin.
Judging by how old these treasures are, but they are still baffled by why would they leave these massive pits of treasures behind. Number 7. The tomb. Full of snacks. King Tut's tomb held a lot of interesting finds. They were kept there for the popular belief that he might need them in the afterlife.
Egyptians weren't obsessed with death. They were obsessed with living, and they wanted to live the best life they could, and they wanted that to continue if they could after death.
But the most fascinating thing was that the tomb was filled with different kinds of snacks, from the basics like bread, wine, pomegranates, green onions, and garlic, to the more luxurious spread, like dates that were pitted, ribs, big slabs of meat, and even poultry that was also mummified. This guy had made all the plans to truly relax. Number 8. The real-life hobbits. Did you know that the researchers found actual human remains that look a lot like hobbits? While they are commonly called hobbits, the scientists have a different name for them: Homo floresiensis. These ancient humans are much shorter than the size of modern humans. The first human skeleton found was a mere 3.5 feet in height, although she was nearly 30 years old. When the researchers found the remains, they thought that it was a modern human with a disorder, but later research proved that the hobbits were an entirely different species, not just tiny humans.
The striking clue immediately was, this is a person with a brain that's less than half the size of a normal human being.
Sadly, a lot about them remains a mystery to this day. Number 9. Amarna's graveyard. A strange discovery in Amarna has amazed the researchers. There were a bunch of human remains found on the site, and most of them had unique hairstyle, but there was one that beat them all in style. There was a woman wrapped in a mat whose head had over 70 hair extensions. If that isn't creepy enough, hear this. It is believed that the woman's hair was styled this way after her death and right before her burial. It isn't just a set of 70 hair extensions sprawled on her head. Nope, they are all styled in different layers and heights, suggesting that it was a common practice back then during burials. Apart from the extensions, there were a ton of accessories that were put on the hair to make it appear exquisite. These included rings, coils around the ears, and braids. A few of these women had also dyed their hair red, probably through henna. There were a total of 100 skulls studied, and 28 still had hair. These people sure had some style. Number 10. Mummified crocodiles. Recently, Spanish archaeologists discovered a tomb that had the weirdest things hidden inside. The team found around 10 mummified crocodiles at the tomb. You might think it is pretty creepy, but the ancient people used it as a sacrifice in rituals.
The crocodiles were first buried elsewhere, possibly in sandpits, de Coupier said. This allowed the crocodiles to dry out naturally.
These crocodiles are the same as the ones swimming in the River Nile. Number 11. The hidden chamber in the Great Pyramid. Recently, a team of archaeologists discovered a 30-feet-long chamber tucked away in the Great Pyramid. It is right above the pyramid's entrance, and the team believes that it was built intentionally. Some of the members think that it is there to support the weight of the great structure, but almost all of them are curious to know what's hidden beyond the guarded door. Some think that the corridor might host precious artifacts, while others propose another mummy. But there is a group of people who think there might be a tomb inside, or maybe it is just a simple void. What do you think is more likely to be there?
So this is it, the Grand Gallery. If you look at this and you think they made this more than 4,000 years ago, they actually built this.
Number 12. The Flooded Tomb. This is the ancient site of Nuri, Sudan. The 20 pyramids that you see here almost look like small gems on a necklace from the sky. But that's not the strangest thing about them. Underneath one of these pyramids is a tomb that's completely flooded. Somewhere in the patch of brown water, the archaeologists stumbled upon the entrance to the tomb of a pharaoh called Nastasen. The archaeologists had to dig up the staircase underneath his pyramid that led to the burial chambers of the pharaoh. The water here rose up to the ceiling when the site was discovered. There were around 3 chambers, and one of them hosted the stone coffin of the pharaoh. Although the coffin hasn't been opened yet, there was one interesting find. The team found paper-thin pieces of pure gold that often cover figurines in the ancient cities. These remains suggest that the site has long been untouched. Number 13. An ancient crime scene. In Dashur, 15 miles south of Cairo, an Egyptologist had unearthed one of the most disturbing royal graveyards. The excavation revealed a large passageway that led directly under the pyramids through a set of stairs. The huge complex was right at the center of the pyramids, but there was one problem. The entrance to the chamber was sealed.
These huge blocks are protecting the only access to the chamber and any mummy and treasure that may be hidden inside.
Unlike any other pyramid in Egypt. So, the team worked and worked to crack open the seal. It took them 3 days, but the effort was well worth it. What appeared before their eyes shocked everyone, revealing a chaotic scene. Where the researchers expected treasure, or even a mummy, there was an open crime scene. The contents of the chamber were in disarray, as if someone had already been inside, but the researchers had no clue as to who was hidden inside and who had robbed the chamber, despite the fact that it was completely sealed. The discovery only opened up another mystery. Number 14. Cleopatra's Lost Tomb. In the city of Alexandria, it is believed that Cleopatra's tomb and remains lie somewhere submerged in the water. A team of archaeologists have been at it since the year 2005. In the year 2022, they made a startling discovery. The team found a set of coins in a strange temple underneath all the rubble. On these coins was the name Queen Cleopatra written on one side and a face on the other. That's not all. There was also a processional avenue that led from the temple through a tunnel and into the Mediterranean Sea. The Egyptologists firmly believe that the other temple was in the sea. Working on their hunch, the team dove into the sea, and here is what they found. Nearly 10 feet tall structures were spotted in an area that the team suspects is the place they were looking for. They also found basalt that the ancient people often used to make statues. This confirms that the structures are man-made. The team also wants to explore 5 other areas of interest. Here is to hoping the tomb is somewhere around there. Number 15. Bizarre discovery of a pinky. The Denisova Cave is in Siberia and is one of the most important historical sites in the world. It all started when a pinky finger of a girl was found in this cave. The archaeologists took it to the lab and found that it was the DNA of a young girl that lived over 50,000 years ago. She belonged to a group of people called Denisovians. They are also known as ancient humans, and their remains have only been found in these caves. Apart from the pinky, the researchers also dug up a tiara made up of the woolly mammoth, teeth, and other remains that go back to over 100,000 years ago. The fascinating part is that it is the only site discovered yet where both ancient and modern humans have lived. Number 16. Husband and wife on the hunt. In 2015, a couple made an extraordinary discovery, an incredibly rare treasure, unlike anything found on Greek soil for more than a century. In an abandoned olive grove outside the palace walls, the team started excavating. After 10 days of excavations, they found an ancient tomb filled with the kind of treasure that archaeologists only dream of. The rare treasure contains many precious stones, beautifully crafted weapons, armor, stunning gold rings, and exquisite jewelry. But the most amazing find was the remains of a man called the Griffin Warrior. A stone was found on the same site that had intricate detail, a true work of art. It was probably Minoan that was used as a seal for human imprints. Number 17. The Wall of Jordan. There is a massive wall in Jordan that spreads out to 93 miles and has kept the researchers in a twist of mysteries. At some points, the wall branches off, while there are other points where 2 walls run parallel together. Researchers claim that they once stood over 3 feet tall and even had multiple towers running alongside them, about 100 in number, but all that's left is now ruins and rubble.
It is unclear when it was built, by whom, and for what purpose.
Experts are not sure why these walls were built. Some claim that they could have been used as watchtowers, while others think they may have been places of refuge. But its low height debunks the theory of it being used for defense. Plus, there were a few pottery pieces found in the tower too. Maybe it was just used as a boundary. Sadly, the mystery is still there, and nobody has any certain answers. Number 18. The Jar of Organs. You might know about how mummies are made, but there is a dark secret behind the whole process. These small mummies that you see are actually canopic jars. They appear normal, but they host the organs of the people who are mummified. Mainly, the lungs, liver, intestines, and stomach are taken out and kept in these jars. But here is where it gets really creepy. You can tell which jar has which organ. Each of the canopic jars has a lid carved with a different head. If you spot a baboon head, it is Happy. The human head is Imseti. The jackal is for Duamutef, and the falcon represents Kebesinuef. These are the 4 sons of Horus. Number 19. The Kokno Stone. A team of archaeologists unearthed a 5,000-year-old slab of stone. But it isn't any ordinary piece of stone. No, it had some strange markings on it. The giant stone was around 43 feet long and had swirling patterns that were called cups and ring marks. Nobody knows why these drawings were made or what they represent.
First thing we're going to do is aerial photogrammetry. Photogrammetry is a process by which you extract 3D information from 2-dimensional photographs.
But one theory suggests that these symbols could predict eclipses, and the markings were movements of the sun and the moon. There isn't a lot of data to prove this theory, and it still remains a mystery. The researchers buried it shortly after studying the stone so that it remains protected as an ancient discovery. Number 20. Nazca Lines of Peru. These incredible lines in Peru have puzzled scientists for decades. These white lines are geoglyphs, and some of them are as old as 2,000 years old. The reason that these lines have stayed put all these years is because the area receives about 20 minutes of rain in the whole year. But that isn't the strangest part about this site. There are all kinds of geoglyphs, from 70 types of animal figures to over 800 straight lines and 300 geometric designs. It is a work of art. What's puzzling is that the patterns are only visible from the sky because they are so large. Who could have built them with such precision? And why? Some think that it is a vast system of water irrigation system, while others think that the aliens came and helped the ancient people build these patterns. Believe it or not, these two are the most widely accepted theories. Number 21. The ancient animal traps. Geoglyphs are pretty common, but some strange patterns have kept the scientists fooled for a long time. These patterns are called kites because of their rhomboid shape. They were discovered in Egypt, Jordan, and even Saudi Arabia. Around 550 desert kites were found in Jordan alone. But they do not have any relation to aliens. These incredible structures were used to trap animals. They run 40 miles long and go back to 300 BC. The animals were lured into the pits, where they were hunted in large numbers. What's fascinating is that even civilizations as old as we are talking about knew about the fauna and flora enough to think of this massive trap. Number 22. The Anomali of Giza Pyramids. You thought that the pyramids were enough of a mystery, but these pyramids keep on bringing weird and strange secrets that nobody can figure out. For years, the area underneath the Western Cemetery in Giza was thought to have no structures, but then an anomaly appeared in the data. The scientists knew there was something inside because the density was different from the ground surrounding it. What they found were two structures underground. One of them was an L-shaped structure that was around 6.5 feet under the ground, while the other one was buried deeper, around 16 feet below the ground. The structures appear as if they are man-made, and the sharpness of it suggests that it isn't natural. Scientists are knee-deep into this discovery, trying to find out what they are and why they are hidden. Number 23. The mysterious safe. On a farm in Orland County, a farmer found a strange safe sprawled in the middle of his field. He has no clue how old it is or who left it there. The only hint is that there's a note stamped on the safe stating that whoever can open the safe can keep what's inside it. They used sledgehammers and hands on its dial, hinges, and even the handle, but nothing worked. The 550-pound safe is now battered, but it refuses to prop open. Number 24. The letter. Written in secret, the Queen of England may have passed away, but her legacy will keep running for decades to come.
A sealed letter personally written by the monarch in 1986 that cannot be opened until 2085.
No, I am not talking about the royal family. Back in 1986, the Queen wrote a letter in secret to the people of Sydney, but she asked the people not to open it until the year 2008-5. It is kept in a glass case in the deep corners of the Queen Victoria building where no one is allowed. This building is dedicated to the Queen's great-grandmother, and the Queen wrote this letter right after it was refurbished. Number 25. The burnt scrolls. The Herculaneum scrolls are hundreds of papyri that were burnt like pieces of coal when they were discovered. Back in 79 AD, the eruption of Mount Vesuvius had left these scrolls black and charred. If you tried to unroll them, the paper would crumble, and any writing on the papyri would be destroyed alongside it. So, nobody dared to try and open them. Recently, a team of students found a genius way to read these ancient writings without opening the fragile papyri. This text is almost 2,000 years old, and to see it without opening the papyri is nothing short of miraculous. The ancient text is believed to be written by the philosopher Philodemus. That's all, folks. If you like this video, smash the like button and subscribe to our channel. We will see you in the next one. Goodbye.